is we as Americans romanticize with the idea of hustle. We have to work
Oh
harder.
my
We
gosh.
have to, it's just we believe we are irreplaceable at work.
Welcome to How She Built It. I'm Carrie Augustine Boyle, CEO of Automate and Elevate. Around here, success isn't accidental, it's built.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited
I'm
to
so
be
excited you're
here.
here.
So, what do I do? Well, first things first, I currently am in Italy. I live in beautiful northern Italy in this cute little UNESCO World Heritage town, Polcenigo. So, I curate transformational women's retreats currently in Italy and Morocco. I have some exciting locations for 2027, but they're designed for high achieving women who are successful on paper, but they feel really disconnected from themselves. So, my retreats are about resetting nervous systems, rebuilding identity, and reconnecting to who you are outside of the roles you find yourself in every day. I also do burnout recovery coaching and speaking, where I focus on building awareness and normalizing that this isn't something we talk about enough as women. And it's okay for women to take time away from their life in order to show up better for it. Whether that's as a mom, a wife, business owner, or a leader, when a woman takes time to recalibrate herself, step away from life, get out of whatever time zone she's in, whether there's 8 or 10 hour difference, and she really has to refocus on herself, everything, including her, benefits from taking time and pausing from life.
I love that. And I can feel that there's like so much intention behind that you really want to create these experiences for women. So I have to ask, because I'm totally curious, are you from Italy? Like, were you born there?
No, actually, we moved here three and a half years ago. So my husband is currently in the Air Force. We're over here serving. Actually from Alaska primarily. So Alaska is home, which is where Glaciers to Grapevines came from. So Glaciers is Alaska. Italy's home now. We'll be home for the next several years, which we're very, very grateful and excited about.
I love that so much. Okay, so before we like get into the nitty gritty, what was your back end like? What did it look like before we actually started doing this together? Like you mentioned that you were building these retreats in Morocco, which sounds amazing. I would love to go there. You're setting up your next one for the Dolomites, and then I think
Mm-hmm.
you have some future ones in the works as well. Like walk us through what were those roadblocks that you were hitting, or how much time were you spending putting all of these epic retreats together?
So I guess like a snapshot of where things were 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago before you came into my life. I made it all better. Probably entrepreneurs can understand that you wear multiple hats, right? Like you're the social media person, you're the person that handles the books, you're the person that is in charge of business development. You got to find clients. Oh, and then you have to work the business and do logistics to the retreat, prepare for things. There's a lot of different hats. And so when I basically what things looked like a couple weeks ago is we have multiple Excel tabs, spreadsheets for whatever retreat, the people's names. I am managing information in text messages, WhatsApp messages, Facebook, like information is everywhere, which is starting to feel, and it's okay if I have one retreat a year, but the plan is like
Mhm.
there's multiple treats a year, there's traveling, like, so then I started to feel overwhelmed that I am losing. Am I losing track of the relationships I'm building? Am I losing track? Did somebody pay a deposit? Am I having check? And even the payment systems, I switched everything over to a platform, and that was going really well. But then it's like, wait, how do I follow up with an email and break up invoice payments? How do I? So all those things where I want to better serve my customer and make it less stressful for them, but also as I am offering a luxury, top of the line, curated, very intentional retreat, I want everything to come across that way in their email as they're getting the emails, to simplify the payment systems, right? But then also for me, I feel like when I would lay my head down on the pillow at night, I couldn't shut my brain off. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't message this person back. Wait, what about this payment? Do I need to? And that's not, obviously that's not the lifestyle or the balance that an entrepreneur business owner wants to have. That's a little bit of the life sometimes, right? Like stuff creeps in
Yeah, for
just like
sure.
anybody who has a day job and walks away. So anyhow, it was
Mhm.
very manual, multiple systems all over the place and not really centralized, right? Where in managing multiple social media systems between LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, now there's a TikTok that will be live this next week, which is super exciting
Oh my
and
God.
scary for me, but pulling it all into like one place. So then I feel like, okay, my time is efficient versus spending, here's an hour on Facebook, here's this, and getting back to people and then managing it. Because at some point, I want, as we are scaling this, as I am scaling this and growing this, like the goal is then to have a team that supports me, right? So having it to where this stuff is set up so then I can have a team that supports and is able to get back or help with organization. So basically it was a hot mess. And then yes, you came in and everything feels much better and easier and like flows, like it pulls everything in together.
Yeah. I mean, so what I'm hearing is like you basically proved the concept. So for anyone that's listening to this episode, right? Like you came up with this idea, women need intention. Women need to unplug. They need to fill their cups because I mean, I know myself, we put out so much for our kids, our spouses, our businesses, and you're creating this experience that's going to allow them to literally refill the cup, come back invigorated and ready to attack life again, right? So you've proved the concept, but then listening to you talk, it was as it was scaling, it was just burning you out kind of, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you were trying to do literally everything because you set that bar so high. Like I want to give people this incredible experience, right? But at the
Yes.
same time, you were depleting your own cup. Is that kind of, I guess that's kind of how you
Yeah.
would,
Yeah.
right?
And the things
Yeah.
that stress me out, right? Like that is not my strong suit. The IT, the logistics. I mean, even now, I'm using like a cute little new toy to help with like that's not my strong suit is the IT stuff, right? Like my strong suit is like all these other things. So things that probably, took you 20, 30 minutes, they would have taken me hours or like a day. And then I would have been deflated. And the last thing I want to do is go and like work on the business. So
For
yes.
sure. So you kind of touched on it, but I guess I'll just ask, what made you decide like now was the point that you needed some systems? So like, I'm sure it crossed your mind like, hey, there's got to be a better way. But for anyone listening that maybe is in that cycle of, I am doing all of the things, like am I ready to potentially have someone help me with this? Like how did you get to that point where you were like, all right, you know what? If I want the vision to be as big as I want it to be, if I want to have those multiple retreats per year, if I want to impact more women's lives, like I need to raise the white flag, like somebody help me.
Right. I think it was really is two or three things like triggered that reflection, right? Is the realization that for me as a business owner in my particular business, like, okay, there is a huge demand for this. There are women who wanted to come to actually Morocco's happening in 2 weeks who wanted to come, they can't make it. So like, are you doing another one? This like, so knowing, I guess it was that moment as a business owner, this confirmation that this business, there is a huge need for it. Women want it. And there's the growth in there and kind of this overwhelming, like, oh, what I'm doing now is not sustainable and it's not feeling as like polished and put together as like I would like it to, come across. Because when you interact with me one-on-one, things are going to be taken care of, they're handled. But when you get the emails and everything else is automated, right, that feels more like, okay, it's a professional presence, things are put together. So I think it was that moment of like, wow, this is going to grow. There's a need for it. And then as we're you and I got put in touch together and then realizing and actually understanding the full scope of all the services you offer. And then like one system can pull all that in and simplify. It was like, well, why would I not like, why would I say no to that? And so, and I know like it's an incredible system and I'm still learning like all the functionality that it has and it still has things I have not tapped into. So I'm excited to continue learning about that and maximizing that for other things, right? But then realizing as maybe I'm working on a book and that gets pushed out this year, then how do you create these other things to support other business services to get pushed out? So I think those are probably the two big moments where it was like, okay, need to make the investment, need to simplify. And then at the end of it, after having the call with you and then your team, since working with everybody, is so quick for response, is so quick for support. That is my struggle. It's probably not every business owner's struggle back in the States because everybody's on a very similar timeline, right? And time zone. So with me,
Mm-hmm.
it's 6 to 10 hours difference for most people. So the fact that the support is there, it's quick and ready, I think that made all the difference.
I love that. So I feel like as you were talking, where my head kind of went was, as online entrepreneurs, as business owners, I feel like it's hard to delegate, right? I actually did a post about this yesterday. We feel like we want to do all the things. We want to
Hmm.
send the messages. We want to, be DMing the people that are coming to our retreats. But you kind of touched on it. At some point, as that scale is happening, you do want to have the conversations with these people, but you're not doing them as timely as you want. So
Hmm.
where you're able to put the infrastructure in place, those emails, those touch points, those reminders, because as you're talking, if I was going on one of your retreats, I'm very like A type planner personality. And if I like paid my deposit, for example, and like you touched on, I'm in the States, you're in Italy, I pay my deposit while you're sleeping, and I don't hear from you until 8 hours later because you don't have a system in place. I'm like panicking, like, okay, did it go through? Like, when is the trip? Like, do I buy my airfare now? Like, so I feel like those pieces are what I'm excited to help you put in place, because you're going to provide this like truly epic experience.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's,
Right?
yes, that's what it'll be. And then stress free, right? For everybody too, because that's with this new retreat, right? It's very beneficial to have an onboarding call, and we've got a private group chat. So we're helping support everybody. But that time zone really can cause problems. But then it's also the biggest benefit to people who travel across the pond for the retreat, because then they really are distanced from their everyday, like the kids are at school, your husband needs something, or like whatever's going on, right? Like work really can't reach you for almost half the day while you're here taking care of yourself. Like you get to work on you, which is it's incredibly invaluable.
I love it. All right. So we kind of laid out, that breaking point, what you've slowly started to get in place, the vision of where this is going. So, what, like now, even though we've just started to like scratch the surface, what already starts to feel like lighter for you? What is already giving you like those warm fuzzies, like, okay, like, I can see where this is going?
So I think number one, automation, just having time back in my day, like I'm not feeling as scrambled. So which that correlates to like reduced stress, more efficiency, tracking confidence, basically having confirmation that I feel nothing is falling through the cracks, especially now that I'm on multiple social media platforms. And then even there's text messages, right, from friends or people. It's just like at least everything feels like it's going into one place that it can be followed up on, taken care of. And then the systems to scale, like knowing I can confidently grow and not get in my own head that I'm going to end up pulling myself back, or I can't do this because I can't manage all these spread. Like it's that, right? Whereas with this system, I get it down, things keep growing, start bringing on a team to help, right? Then they can help manage the back end and help do those things. So, and then once payments also too, right? So the automation of the payments and not stressing about that. Cause I also doing an international retreat is expensive, right? It's the airfare and that's the cost of the retreat, but wanting to be able to support women where they're at and break up and offer, basically a payment plan. So it's like, okay, this retreat's in 6 months, 7 months. We're going to break this up into 3 payments, right? So you can, tax season is coming up, right? There's always
Love
a
that.
reason and excuse. So I feel like this system just allows me to meet women where they're at, better serve them, and then helps me essentially be less stressed and show up as the best me, best business owner to support them where they're at, right? And as you know, I'm getting ready to step away next week for a couple days and go to a mastermind retreat event. And knowing that this is going, stuff is still dumping in there, things are being automated. I can be on a plane for 14, 16 hours and not worry about things, or actually be on the retreat in Morocco for 6 days. And
Mm-hmm.
the automation, like the business is still running and it doesn't need me right now, right? So I think that helped. And I think it
That
surprised me how easy the shift is, because I think at first it's can feel daunting or overwhelming to be like another
mhm.
system, another tool. And as I told you, when I came to you, I was actually working, I guess, with two different payment systems. One that automated like contract and payment, and then the other one that took the deposit. So then it was kicking them from one system to the other system, but then I still had my Excel spreadsheet, right? So like I like to me it almost felt overwhelming to be like another system, but then as I went in and like canceled the subscription for the other two like systems and simplified, it's like, okay, this feels doable. I can keep marching forward. It can keep being me for now until like I'm ready, so it feels like there is success. It feels hopeful. And then I can keep doing what I like what my mission is, right? To serve women and help them come back and be better and be more fulfilled and get direction again.
Oh my gosh, all of that. All of that, girl, gives me all the feels for you. Like, just the fact that she didn't even mention that next week when she's coming to the States, we're meeting in person, which I'm so excited about. But hearing you say, you know, that there's the potential for you to be on a plane and have things running, for you to be
Mm-hmm.
on one of these retreats, the one coming up or one in down the road, and like things are still working behind the scenes, like that gets me excited. It gets me excited to hear that, you know, at first, making a decision like this can feel daunting, right? It can feel daunting to take on a system, a tool, an automation that you're not familiar with, but that you're open to like learn and embrace and like, you know, I'll figure this out. So
Yeah.
that gets me excited. And we didn't even touch on, but you're a mompreneur. So this at the end of the day gives you more time with your own family. So
Mm-hmm.
that gives me, you know, excitement for you that you'll be able to unplug and not feel like you have to like quickly reply to someone or again be in the moment feeling like you're not providing that level of an experience that you ultimately want to give people.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
exactly. And even today, my little lady, she's actually at home because we had a fever last night and whatever. It's cold and flu season, right? So
Ugh.
it's like yes, like it allows the ability to like be at home, have the flexibility, and there's multiple benefits, right? So I think, and just like anything as a business owner, right, you always get approached with different opportunities, different things, and is the timing right, and what is going to make quick return on investment, right? And so this tool, there's, getting it going, I think takes, it's a little bit, but then once you have it in there, like getting the time back, the stress back, like that's worth its weight in gold, right?
Priceless.
So, yes.
Priceless. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. All right. So I feel like my last heavy question for you here is,
Okay.
you know, if someone's listening, what, like women in particular, like what do you think women building businesses, what do you think is costing them that growth? Like if someone's listening and, you know, maybe they're on the cusp, maybe they're, you know, at a certain income level or at a certain level in their business and they're like they're ready to like surge but they're maybe holding themselves back, like what's that one piece that you're like, all right, you know what, if you're listening to this, like let me just lay it out there, let me lay it on the line, like what's your Mickela like vision casting here, your Mickela, like this is my advice, ladies.
Yeah.
Because I feel like listening to you on this experience, you might have been in that for a hot minute where
Mhm.
you're like, I don't know, maybe I'll just stay in like, you know, little like 2 time a retreat world and I'm happy with that. But like I was on calls with her. We're part of a
Yeah.
mastermind together and I listened to our mentor pour into you and kind of push you a little and you
Mhm.
saw the vision, right? Like you heard it, you saw it and you're like, "You know what? Damn right. Like I'm doing this."
So I think the biggest tip is we have to get out of our own head. For me, with somebody who is a very all the majority of my background has always been corporate, oil and gas, corporate financial world. And so to believe and know that I could make it and do it as an entrepreneur, in my head, I know I can do it, but the days where you're questioning, like, are the clients going to come? Are people going to be there? Right. I think it's listening to those nudges you get of you can do this, you need something else. And I knew with me over here, it's really hard with networking and not having, gosh, like the women's business network or, just something like that where you can walk in and you're surrounded with like-minded women and people to kind of build yourself up. And so getting in the right room with people to like, no, I know you can do this. You just need to like get out of your own head, get out of your own way. I think that is a piece of advice. But I think there's also something that and this is one of my reasons for doing the retreat, right? Is we as Americans romanticize with the idea of hustle. We have to work
Oh
harder.
my
We
gosh.
have to, it's just we believe we are irreplaceable at work. It's like I aspired that like that proved my worth, right? That proved, and I had to compete with the men. So there's something about being able to believe in yourself that you can do this. There's a need for it. There's a niche for it. And then having the courage to do it. For me, the final push for the decision is knowing in a couple years we're not quite sure where we will end up next, But wherever we end up, I want to have something sustainable versus having essentially, a several year gap in my resume. But on top of that, I think one of the things that, as was poured into me is, what example are you showing your children? If you're holding
Mm-hmm.
yourself back and you're having fear and doubt with you, would I be telling my little lady or my bonus son, like, I don't know if you should do that. Maybe you should keep this job versus going, So I think it was like those heart conviction moments to be like, okay, and like, what's the worst that can happen? And now here I am, 3, 4 retreats in, and it's like, okay, like this is okay. But I think along the way, especially when you don't have a team where you're walking into an office every day and having conversations of, oh, did you do this? Did you do that? Like, and you're
Mm-hmm.
building it together, it is lonely. And, so I guess in closing, just to get out of your head and lean in and trust, and take a step forward, right? It's about, I think, just like your post
One.
yesterday, it's about shooting the next basket, right? Like, shoot the next basket, the next step, and you never, like, that's where it gets you. But I think we just have to get out of our own way. And as women, we always complicate things so much more than they need to be. Whereas, like with men and applying for jobs, as a simple example, right? If men are 50% qualified, they will apply for the job. Women will not apply for a job unless they are
Mm-hmm.
95 to 96% sure that they meet all the credentials. So I think, just as a fundamental thing, we as women put so much more pressure on ourselves and expectations versus like, hey, just try it, right? And see where it goes. So,
Just everything you just said, the hustle culture, I can relate to that so much. The getting in our own headspace, the I want to be a better mom and an example for my kids, like all of it. Seriously, all of it. Like, I hope that anyone listening, like even one of those nuggets, the baskets, right? That's a piece that was taken from one of our mentorship calls this past week, and it's so true. Just a basket a day, a step a day, however you want to define it. It's just one thing. You don't have. And this is where I sometimes get into my own way, where it's like we have this laundry list of things and we get overwhelmed and then we end up doing nothing sometimes. But like you just kind of touched on, just one thing a day, take one shot a day, one basket a day, like, so that is awesome. I appreciate you so much for sharing that.